So the next topic we're going to cover are operators for RxJs. An operator is a pure function that takes in an observable as an input, and it will also output an observable. So in order to work with operators, we need to give it an observable as an input. And so we need to use the pipe method in order to apply the operators. So an example of using the pipe, let's go ahead and let's make an observable equal to, we're going to use the of operator, which I will explain in a second. So we're going to do import of from RxJs, and we're going to use it using, so we're going to do let obs, so the observers, using equal to obs, equal to of, sorry. And then we're going to, the parameter is going to take in all the values that it will operate on. So in this case, we're just going to do 1, 2, 3, three numbers. Just going to take 3 values. So now on this observable, you can perform different operations using any numbers of operators using the pipe method. As I'm going to show you, now we're going to use the pipe method on this observable. So we're going to do obs.pipe, and now we can operate on these values. We can operate on them using the operators. So now we can actually make functions or call functions right over here. Now let's go ahead and delete these two statements, so we don't need them right now. We're going to do them again. So let's make an observable called so let's do let testing observable equal to, and then we're going to use the of method in order to make observable using many values. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, so of 1, 2, 3, all the way to 10. Now we're going to pipe over some operators so we can work on these numbers. So let's go ahead now and make an observable that will use the pipe method. So let's do let observable, and we're going to be using, so we're going to operate on the testing observable using, so we're going to do testing observable dot pipe. So we're going to basically run a pipe function on the testing observable, and in this pipe function we're going to have operators. So the first operator we're going to do, we're going to basically filter out these numbers and only get the even numbers. So what this would do, it will take in the observable, the testing observable that we have just done in the beginning, and it would filter out the numbers to make sure that only the even ones would be passed through, and it would would output an observable with only even numbers, and then we would have another operator after that. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's do filter, and we're going to get a value, the value that we're filtering through. So it's going to loop over the array of numbers, and it's going to take each one, and then we can basically check each one. If that single value is mod 2 is equal to 0, meaning it's even, then we're going to let it go through. So x mod 2 is equal to 0, and then we would return this x. Otherwise we would not return it. And so this would basically return only the even numbers from all the numbers, and then we're going to apply another operator after this, and this operator is going to reduce them, and it's going to basically add up all the numbers from add up all the numbers that we have inputs inside of all the values. So we're going to take the two numbers at a time. So first we're going to do reduce. Now reduce, it has 2 arguments. 2 arguments that reduce would take is an arrow function and the accumulator initial value. So the arrow function will have 2 values, the accumulation and the current value. So we're going to have accumulation, we're going to call it acc, and then the current value we'll call it current. And this is going to be an arrow function, so we can basically do what we want with these two values. And this, for example, just do accumulation plus current. So it's going to keep on going through all the numbers, and it's going to accumulate more and more. So the accumulation is going to be appended with the current number until we go through all of the elements in the list. Now, and the second element of reduce is going to be the initial starting value of accumulation. So we can set this to, like, for example, 3, and then it would keep on adding from 3, and it will add the 2, and then it will add the 4, and then 6 and 8, and then 10. So we just want to set it to 0. So the accumulator is starting at 0. And don't forget to put in the comma, because you have two operators. And we need the map. Actually, we don't need the map. We just need the reduce and filter. We need to import them so we can actually use them. So let's go ahead and import them. So import reduce and filter methods from RxJs/operators. And let's also subscribe to the observable so we can actually use it. So it looks like we have an extra parentheses, so let's remove that, and now we should be good. Okay, now we can actually use the observable by doing observable.subscribe. We can actually subscribe to it, and the elements that it returns to us, we can use the arrow function to do what we want with it. So it should return an element x, and we can console.log x. Now let's go ahead and actually execute this program. As you can see, we have the value 30. We have 2 at 4, at 6, at 8, at 10, and that should give us 30, sorry.